Session started.
Awesome. All right, so what started today's session was we had an agent just a couple weeks ago came up to me and asked me, is there a difference between lead generation and prospecting? And there's a very different way. Do you guys are familiar with those two words, I assume, right? We've got some experience here. Do you guys know the difference between the two?
Leads and prospecting.
Yes. If not, it's okay, because that's what my entire session is on today. But I'm going to do a little bit of a poll if I can figure out how to do it. So, oh, wow. Lots of thunder here. All right, so we're going to do a poll here for our Zoom people, but I've got my people in person too and on Facebook. But what do you guys prefer if you know what it is, which is prospecting? Do you prefer lead generation, both, or have no idea? What do you guys think?
So is prospecting like pretty much like a list of some opportunities, maybe later on that's
Kinda.
probably not ready right now, where
You're not wrong.
Leads are a little bit more active, like something that you can actually turn over in within the moment, either immediately or maybe somewhat closer.
Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're close. Perfect. So I got lots of people that prefer both, lots that prefer lead gen, some that have no idea. Nobody prefers prospecting. I think it's just a very ugly word, to be honest. I don't know if it's a traditional word, but everyone hates prospecting. And anytime I throw a session that has the word prospecting in it, even with like Ginny doing her prospecting workshops, it's usually our least attended session because it's our actual most important part of our job is generating business through prospecting and lead generation. But for some reason, it's the topic that people like to avoid the most because it's where the work comes in. So I'm going to share my presentation here. And if you guys have questions throughout, let me know. Let me know if you can hear that thunder too, guys. That's crazy. Just in time.
Yeah.
If the power goes out, I apologize. It's just part of what's going to happen. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the actual winning formula. So I'm going to kind of teach you guys what the difference is between lead gen and prospecting and how we can actually come up with some different strategies that work for each of you. You're all going to be very different. None of us are the same. So when we talk about prospecting and lead gen, it can kind of turn people off because you'll have coaches out there be like, do this, do that. But our personalities, sometimes it doesn't match with the type of activities they want us to do. So we're going to talk about that winning formula at the end there. So today we're going to do, again, lead gen versus prospecting. We're going to do why you need to understand the difference between the two of them. They are very different. So I'm glad that question was brought up a couple weeks ago because we had a debate on if they were the same or if they were different. So we're going to talk about why they're different and why you need to understand. And then at the end, hopefully I can give you guys enough ideas that maybe you can pick out a couple that you think will work with who you are. So I'm going to give a few examples of lead gen and prospecting, and then how you can integrate them both. And then hopefully we can come up with some ways to integrate that. And then of course, if you guys have questions, you can ask me those. All right, so where your business comes from. So we've all talked about this before, but 85% of your business is going to come from the people that know you, like you, and trust you already. We already know that's a big bulk of the business. We call it your database, working your sphere, working your network. We already know 85% of your business is going to come from that, which is why we heavily talk about your database. And I'm not going to talk about your database today, but hopefully we'll come up with a session in like a month or so, where I'll do a full series on that again. But there's always that other 15% where we're trying to figure out, okay, well, I've already tapped into my network, tapped into my past clients. None of them want to do anything. So what else can I be doing to add to the pipeline, which is going to be from people that you don't know. And so that's going to be coming from different activities. So you've got 85% over here with the people you know. And then you're going to have the lead generation and the prospecting, which is 15%. Those two numbers could change based on who you are. But I've sat down with lots of agents every single year. We'll go through their list of people they know. And it's never a shocker to me that all their business came from the people they know. But then it's kind of sad when they don't have any other business on top of that. I'm like, well, you were doing all these activities, but no other business was coming from it. So like, let's add, like now you've got say 10 buyers and sellers that came from your network. Why don't we add 10 more people that were strangers? So you should be working both the systems at all time. what I find is about 90%, or our agents are spending about 90% of their time doing only the things that bring 10% of the business, which is very unfortunate. Most people like kind of neglect their database, neglect their past clients, all of that, and they're always searching for the thing that only gives them 15% of their business. So as much as I want you guys to be doing these activities, I only want you spending 15% of your time doing these activities, and then the other 85% should be spent on the database stuff. So everything I talk about today is where you're not going to spend 90% of your time. It's just like 15% of your time, if that makes sense. Perfect. Okay, so we were talking a little bit before this on what the differences are with lead gen versus prospecting. So lead generation is actually, I would consider it more of a marketing aspect, more of a passive way. And it's really just doing things that are like attracting people and capturing potential clients that have shown some sort of interest in buying or selling a home. So really you're just marketing your efforts and people are coming to you. This is where probably we spend most of our time, is doing the marketing stuff, is just doing things and praying that someone's going to call me just from those efforts that I'm doing. Now, the other side is the prospecting, and this is the one that most people lack. And that's the part where you're actually actively reaching out to these people and initiating that contact. And there's multiple different ways of doing this. Both are very important for finding the clients, but they both involve very different techniques. So again, you're doing things to attract people to you, giving their contact information to you. The other one's actually initiating a one-on-one conversation and trying to book appointments with these people. Does that make sense a little bit? So putting it out there, having people come to you, and then you going to them. So these are the different types of lead strategies. So online marketing is probably the most popular one that we're seeing right now. And this is getting leads through directing people to go to your website, just promoting yourself on social media, doing all of your value added pieces, videos, all of that. And then of course, email marketing. And I'm going to show you different strategies of how to use that as well. But these are things such as using like a search engine optimization, SEO, to improve the website optimization, and then targeting ads on social media to bring people to your website, and then following up through an email campaign. So there's like different steps with this, right? So no one's just going to show up on your website, like just like no one just, hey, Jenna Frost, let's like it's just like not a thing. So if we can figure out a way to get people to go to our website, maybe you're putting up Facebook ads, Instagram ads, maybe you've got Google ads where like the sponsorship, you're paying for the pay per click, and then direct people to the site. They give you their contact information, and then you're following up with a series of email campaigns or like newsletters, drip campaigns that way. This is kind of like the more today's style that I'm seeing a lot of. The other one is referral marketing. So this is actually the most common way that people get business as they progress into their business. This isn't something that a brand new agent is going to have right away, but maybe someone that's been doing it for 5-6 years. But this is where you're actually leveraging off your existing clients, any of your professional network, stuff like that, where you're actually just building relationships with people. You're going to networking events, and then in turn, you're hoping that people will come to you and say, hey, I remember we met at this conference. Well, I actually have a referral for you. So that's the whole point of doing those conferences and stuff. It's not for everybody, but that's what the whole goal is. Let's see. Perfect. And then there's advertising. So again, lead generation is more of a marketing advertising type of prospect, or a type of generation of clients. So this could be on your print ads, billboards. I know you've got like a receptacle somewhere. I know, Alex, do you still have yours? Okay, so people that have like the bus stops, all of that, billboards, maybe you're just direct mailing people, could be digital through Google, social media, and you could be doing retargeting ads. So I'm sure you guys have like looked at shoes or something in the past, and then all of a sudden that shoe ad is following you all over the internet. That's pretty much what you can do as a real estate agent, where you can set up a retargeting ad and then you're just following people around. Same thing with your billboards, direct mail. You're just in front of people's face enough that maybe one day they're actually going to reach out to you as well. The other ones, events and community involvement, open houses, so people coming to you, local events, community events, bank days. We've got some agents doing bank days this week. So this is when you're really just partnering with local businesses, you're showing up as a sponsor, all of that stuff. And then again, hopefully at the end of these events, people are going to be reaching out to you as well. So bank days is really where you can go sit in a bank for like few hours once a week or so, and you just have a booth And then anyone that's coming into the bank, you're trying to build relationships with those people, talk about real estate, what's happening in the market. More importantly is actually talking to the people that work at the bank. So like all the bank tellers, the mortgage guys that are in there. If you can start to build relationships with them, they're the ones that are the first people when a client wants to come in and buy a house. They're typically going to their bank. So if you're building relationships, you're just hanging out at the bank once a week, they get to know you, you bring coffee, all that. And then hopefully a client walks in and then they're like, hey, I've got a buyer client. Do you want to take them on? So it's really, you're just putting yourself out there, you're showing up, and then they're reaching out to you. There's another way where you can do the prospecting side of it, but it is a good thing. Paige and I used to do it every Friday for like 6 weeks. Steve and you, Sam, are doing it this week at CIBC, RBC. So it's somewhere you can kind of go to a bank and ask if they can do a realtor day.
Is there any pushback? I'm coming from the bank.
Yep.
So I do have a couple branches and I know that
You should do
I
it.
didn't know that was there.
Yeah, we used to do it with CIBC. So I don't know who you would contact exactly. I don't know if it's the mortgage people or the manager, but if you can go up to them and be like, hey, like, do you mind if I had like host a realtor day? And then you just set up a booth and then have your stuff everywhere. I know. You should definitely do that. Yeah. It's not for everybody. Like Paige and I were terrible at it, but like we did it just to experience it. But if you can do it the proper way, like if you've already got the connections there, I would definitely might be up your alley too. So that's the point of today. I hope you guys like each pick a little piece of what we're talking about. The other stuff, lead generation companies. I'm getting so many calls lately. Have you been getting more calls lately? More than ever. The last couple of years, I haven't heard about lead generation companies in so long. Now that the business is slow, and now I'm getting like, which lead generation company should I call? These are typically companies that specialize in generating leads. They're the ones that are creating the ads for you. People are clicking on them, and then you get a bunch of phone numbers and email addresses, and then you're kind of qualifying them, nurturing them. It is a very expensive way to generate leads. That's why it's not for everybody. I know we just had a session not too long ago where they said, if you're not making 6 figures yet, organically, don't bother putting your money into it yet. So try to do organic lead generation first before you consider throwing your money into these, because it could be a waste of money. Some agents are very good at it. Some agents are terrible at it. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, but this is a different way. If you don't want to put in the effort, but you're willing to pay someone, then a lead generation company may be something you want to look into. And then of course there's content marketing. So creating and sharing valuable content that educates, informs, and engages. So this is on your different online platforms, whether it's like on your social media platforms, maybe you're becoming a blogger and you're creating articles to kind of inform the public, videos, podcasts, webinars, even like what I'm doing today. You could be throwing webinars for people. And it's really just giving like tips and tricks, giving them guides, giving them information, creating content, and then hopefully they reach out to you just from watching your content over time, and then when they're ready, they'll reach out. So I just want to give you, I think I've got 4 examples of lead generation strategies that you guys can each do. The first one is like probably the most popular one that you will ever see, is offering home evaluations. This allows sellers to really request just what their house is worth, whether you're doing social media posts, maybe you're sending out a mass email to people, and you're just saying, hey, like click here for a free home evaluation. You'll see lots of people doing that. And the whole goal is to try to get mailing addresses, phone numbers, emails with just someone that was curious about their home and whether they're ready or not. It's just a way to capture leads, information, and then staying in contact with them. So that's one of the most popular ones. Okay. Oh, okay, then we've got hyper-local ads and farming. So this again, it's a more traditional way, but a very strong one. Some of our very top successful agents use this type of platform. Oh, sorry. Computer's there. Okay, so this allows you to really target a specific neighborhood with customized marketing campaigns. So whether you're going up to them doing like paid ads and targeting a specific neighborhood, offering them what their house is worth, you could be doing, I know like one of our agents is doing like, give me your email and I'll send you a list of properties in this price point in Durham region. So you could do that. So again, it's different ways to direct a specific neighborhood to try to get their information and then generate leads and leads and leads. So again, you can do social media, direct message, or through your website. The other one's seminars. So like I said, you could be doing something like what I'm doing right now, where you're just establishing a thought leadership in your community, whether you're doing first-time home buyer seminar, seller seminar. Maybe you've got a bunch of past clients that purchased with you. They've got some equity in their home. So maybe you want to throw like an investment seminar to teach them how to like now grab equity from those homes and start investing for their kids and stuff like that. First-time home buyer seminar, whichever. But you guys can do, there's so many opportunities for the seminars these days, especially with Zoom, where you don't have to actually have like a full live classroom or anything, and people can just watch what you've got to say through Zoom. So these are different. I think this is a really good way. We just did a seminar last night for fun, and it's not like a massive audience that you're going to get, but it's still like a way to collect email addresses, mailing numbers, phone numbers, and then you can follow up with them after. But seminars were really huge back in the day. I know some people would bring in a mortgage broker with them to kind of have someone else there to speak with them, have an investment specialist. So I think seminars is a really huge one. I know Claire actually wants me to maybe do a session with you guys on how to do a seminar and like actually how to like get the people to sign up for it, different avenues to do that, set up the tech, and then how to follow up. So that might actually be a session that I do with you guys. But if you're interested in doing it, I could do one-on-ones with you guys too, if you want to know a little bit more about the seminars. Email marketing, I did a massive session on this in January. So this is really just focused on creating personalized and targeted email campaigns that really just speak to the needs of the client. So if you're using Hub 21, you will notice that there's so many different email campaigns in there. There's one like for first-time home buyers that will send them an email for about 6 months, like once a month. Maybe they just sold their house and then you send them follow-up emails for, again, like 6 months. There's home maintenance ones. There's a whole bunch of different types of emails. So if you guys want to get into organizing your CRM properly, segmenting your list, so maybe you did a targeted ad like, hey, first-time home buyers, sign up for my email guide. They sign up, they get your buyer's guide, which I've already given you guys too. So you can download that, edit it. So when someone signs up, you can send them your buyer's guide and then set them up to receive a news or some sort of email from that campaign once a month, which again is already done for you. So there's like different ways that you guys can do the lead captures, and that would be one of them. And then I'll talk a little bit more about it with the prospecting, but there is a way where now you've got all these leads and then you're going to nurture them through the prospecting efforts. Anyone have any questions on that stuff? Perfect. So these are the different types of leads. You'll hear us talk a lot about this because especially when you get into the lead generation companies, a lot of people get really upset because the leads are really bad. It's not really that they're bad. It's just they're just a cold lead. They're just not ready yet for you. So there is 4 different types that you will encounter. So there's the cold leads. So these are people that may have just signed up for your link. They put their information in there. They're not really actively looking to buy or sell or anything. They're just curious. This is what you're going to see with a lot of those online lead platforms is they're just cold leads. It doesn't mean they're not a real human or anything like that. They're just like not ready for you. So there's a different nurturing process that you're going to do with them. So don't get too caught up if you're only getting cold leads, because that's just part of the process. Is just there's going to be some cold ones. You may, hopefully the next step would be turning them into a warm lead where maybe they've expressed some interest in buying or selling, but they're not really quite committed to working with an agent yet. So these types of buyers you may actually see at like an open house, for example. People that are going there with no agent, typically they're thinking about buying, or they would buy if the right property came up, but they're not quite ready. So these are people that, again, you would just stay in touch with, because the next step is they're going to turn into a hot lead eventually. These are people that are actively seeking to buy or sell like right now, and they're interested in working with an agent. These are very hard to come across. If you ever go on a listing presentation and they're like, I want to sell like next week, then that is a hot lead. Most listing presentations that you go on, I would say sometimes take about 6 to 12 months before they even decide. They're like, okay, yeah, we're thinking about it. And then they've got things that pop up. And then in 6 to 12 months, they call you and they're like, okay, I'm actually ready to do something now. So that hot lead are very hard to come by. These are the ones you want to pay the most attention to, the ones you want to nurture the most. But they do have to start somewhere on this spectrum as a cold to warm lead. None of us have ever just sat up one day and we're like, I'm going to sell my house today. Like, that's just not the reality of it, unless you're going through a divorce. Divorces tend to be very hot leads because they're like, get me in, get me out. But for the most part, a regular buyer seller, they've probably been thinking about it for a year. then they're warming up, they're getting out there, and then all of a sudden they're ready to go. So they just take time. No one's just making life decisions that quickly. Repeat and referrals. These are the absolute strongest type of lead you will ever have. These are people like your past clients that have already worked with you, already trust you, they're ready to go. Or they've been referred to you from someone that you know, that's a warm lead. Or even better, an agent to agent referral lead. Those are the best leads because that agent, especially if like Alex, for example, you've got one that's going out to Vancouver, ready to go, probably. I find that a lot of the agent to agent referrals, typically that referring agent holds on to that client and will nurture it until they're ready to go. And then they literally pass it off to an agent that's already been pre-qualified, they're ready, they're set, but they will keep that nurturing relationship just to make sure they get that referral fee eventually. So if you guys can build relationships with agents in other areas, Century 21 is a global brand. So if you guys ever have that opportunity to meet other, it doesn't even just have to be Century 21, but other brokers from other areas, agent to agent referrals will always be like your best hot warm lead that you'll ever get. So we like to focus a lot on the past clients and referral business for that reason. And that's why I would say only spend 10 to 15% of your time on these other leads and nurturing them, because high chance that they're still just a cold warm lead. And that's why I say do your database a lot, because that repeat and referral is huge. I'm scared I clicked that too fast. Okay, perfect. So we're going to do prospecting. So we just did the lead generation. So we've realized that's different ways, different marketing to get people to sign up for things and just get contact information into your pipeline. The other one is prospecting. So this is the active process of reaching out to potential clients. So the other ones, they were reaching out to you, which obviously most agents spend their time on because they don't want to reach out to people. They want people to call us. But prospecting is just part of the game that you kind of have to do if you want to ensure that you can convert those leads, which we were talking about. So the goal is really to establish a relationship with that lead, build trust, get them to know you, and then eventually, hopefully they'll go with you. So we do have to do the lead generation to build up that pipeline, and then you're doing the prospecting to nurture the relationship. I think when a lot of people think about prospecting, they think about sitting in front of a phone like all day from 9 to 12, and that's my prospecting hours, which it could be. But there is different ways of the prospecting where you're now just following up with the leads that came to you. It doesn't always have to be like a cold process. It can be a little bit of just like a relationship nurturing process. So these are the different prospecting activities. We've got calling. I had cold calling there at the beginning, but now I'm just going to call it calling. It's not the most popular way these days, but it can actually be one of the most effective ways, especially if you're connecting with a client. I know we all want to text them, we all want to email them, but if you pick up the call or your phone and chat with these people, there's a little bit more of a connection there. So these could be the cold side where you're just doing your just listed, just sold, you're targeting specific neighborhoods. And it is good to still have those clear scripts and something to talk about when you're calling them. I put your sphere here, but again, today I'm only talking about the 10 to 15% of people. So the calling is really just coming up with calling all those leads that have come in. The other one, if you're a little bit more out there, you like people, you like to talk, door knocking may be something for you to get face-to-face with people. I know we've got a lot more door knockers than I do callers. But again, this is just a proactive way to connect with people in a specific neighborhood, bringing them marketing materials, business cards, door trackers, using a friendly approach always helps. So door knocking is just one of those ways where you're now actively reaching out to people in your community. It could be one of those ones where you did the lead generation to target a neighborhood. Maybe someone reached out to it, you have their address, and now you're going to their door to like say hi. So it can be a very weird thing for some people, but I still think door knocking is a pretty effective way if you're not doing the online approach. Agent to prospect email. So again, if you don't want to do the calling, email can also be an effective way just to stay in touch with past and current clients, any warm leads, just touching base, but like an individual email, not always a mass email. So even if you're doing those newsletters, or maybe you sent a CMA, doing those direct email relationships is still a pretty good way to nurture people as well. And some people prefer to be communicated that way. You're so touchy there. Direct messaging and texting. This was my style, to be honest, when I first started. Direct messaging either on your social platforms. I know we talked about like sliding in the DMs, all of that, or text messaging. So you can be straight up and like literally go through your list on your Facebook or your Instagram and message people, be like, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? Hey, I'm in real estate. It can feel very awkward, but I used to do this. I'd message 20 people a day and just like randomly send out the same message to 20 people on my list. And that's just how I got going on my Facebook and all of that. Most of the time, these people are going to say no. But eventually, like 6 months down the road, you put yourself out there and then they've watched you over time and then they're kind of ready to go. And they'll be like, hey, I am actually thinking about doing something now. Or my dad's thinking about doing something. So don't be scared to actually use your social media in the background. If you're not doing the posts and all that, you can still direct message people and promote your services that way, or text messaging. Direct mail, if you prefer the offline approach, you can directly send out a mail, whether it's like a handwritten card. I know it's a Buffini thing, but handwritten cards is a direct approach. I do consider that prospecting where you're checking in with people. We recommend sending out CMAs. So maybe someone signed up for a CMA on the internet, but you're actually going to mail them a CMA. So you could do that approach instead of emailing a CMA, or you can direct mail them. I like the direct mail approach versus email, just because 90% of people are going to receive a piece of mail. They're probably going to open it. Whereas an email, you never know. It might go to the spam. They may chuck it out, just delete it, not respond. Whereas at least in a direct mail, they're going to, they're going to open that. Birthday cards, all that stuff. And then referrals. So directly, so I know we mentioned the referral stuff, but there's the referral program. So actually directly messaging your past clients or directly messaging people you met at a networking event and asking them for referrals. So it's an uncomfortable approach, but there's lots of scripts out there where you can just send it to them and then you can get a referral. Like I said, referral leads are the hottest leads you can get. So if you can come up with some sort of way to be comfortable with asking professionals in the industry for referrals, the easier it is. We went to an awards ceremony last week. We had a guy from Barrie literally sat down with us, didn't even, kind of said hi, but then he was like, hey, any referrals you've got 40%, and just gave us his card. And I was like, that's like a very straight up, honest approach. He's like, I'm not here to like mingle, I'm here to get business. So he was very straight up and I was like, okay, 40%, I'll consider it.
What's your Instagram?
Follow, and now we're like friends on social. So if you meet people, don't be scared to be like, hey, if you refer anyone to me, I'll give you 25% or I'll give you 30%, and just be straight up about what your intentions are with people. It's a very powerful way to prospect, because I don't know, not a lot of people do it. So now I remember him, and if we have a Barrie referral, it'll probably go to him.
I think there's like a it comes to referral, especially if you're in like a new agent or just an agent overall.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, I'm gonna give away my commission type of thing, but
Yes.
like you said, it like literally bounces back. to you
It
when
will
you're
bounce back.
giving. Like I had like three clients. I actually went out there because I had the 3 clients. So
Yeah.
okay, whatever. But then I realized it wasn't in my client's best interest, because when they found something that they like, I can't actively go and support their needs. So then I referred it to an agent. So
It
it
works.
made me feel good. And I'm like, okay, give me 30%.
Exactly.
You know,
and you didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like literally all you had to do is send their email and phone number, and then you didn't have to drive out there. I know like lots of new agents, we will make the drive, like $20,000, no problem. I'm going to Barrie. But then once you start to build your clientele a little bit, you've got 5 buyers at a time. It's that hour drive can seem like a lot. So it's really good too if you can build that referral network, because they may have someone moving to Toronto or Durham, and then you're the first person they call.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a really good to have that, and it just saves your time to now focus on building it here.
You know what I did is, because that client who had bought the property that he was listing, she opted out of it. So I do a mutual release, but I'm like, you know what? Let me give back to him.
Yep.
So that was my reward to him. Hoping that it's gonna come.
It'll come back in some sort of way. But yeah, there's like Ottawa gets a lot of our referrals too. Like there's one guy that just gets like 4 or 5 just from our office at a time. And he's really good though at building that referral. He's at every networking event. He'll congratulate you on your awards. Like some people they only do referral business. Some agents don't even leave their house. They build relationships with other brokers. They'll find leads for their areas and they'll refer it, and they just have a purely referral business and never actually get face to face with a client. So it's a very creative way that you can go with this. Last thing you want is to like end up in an area that you don't know, and then they're in like the Jane and Finch of like Peterborough or something, like it seemed like a great deal for us, and then all of a sudden they're like in a crackhead neighborhood and it's your fault because you didn't know the neighborhood. I don't want that on me either. Okay, so we'll talk about the winning formula. So there's the lead generation and there's prospecting. To me, the winning formula to be the most successful at this game is to really put them both together. So have some sort of ways that you're generating leads, but then have the prospecting aspect for the leads. So diversifying is going to be extremely important in this case. You never just want to focus all of your attention on just referrals or just your database or just open houses. You want to have at least 3 different pillars of finding business. One for everybody is going to be database. And then hopefully today you guys can pick 2 other ways that you can do. And that's it. You don't have to do all of these things. You pick the ones that kind of suit your needs. But the reason we talk about the diversifying is because you're not just relying on one set of strategies and reaching one set of clients. Have you guys ever heard of like the balls theory? It's like a Serhant term, Ryan Serhant. So he talks about always having multiple opportunities in your hands. A lot of new agents will get caught up. They'll get one client and that is their sole attention. They are only focused on getting that one client. They're driving around for 5 months because that client's going to buy. All of a sudden that client's like, oh, I decided I'm just going to rent. And then you're like, I just spent the last 6 months only focused on that $20,000. And that's where we get caught up. So we want to make sure you at least have like 5, 6 clients at a time. That's always the goal, is have 1 in 4 leads works out. So if you can have at least 5 active clients that are looking, thinking about something, then you have a little bit more of a safe cushion, because if one of them backs out, at least you've got 4 other people that are still going, and then you're just always consistently trying to find new opportunities. You're not just one client at a time. And that's where you can really get screwed up in this business by just focusing on, like we've even had agents that have had 1 listing and they're so focused on getting that listing staged, getting it painted, their hands on deck, and then it doesn't close. You just put all of your blood, sweat, and tears into it and didn't even try to prospect for new business in the meantime. So you're really just diversifying it to kind of keep yourself safe as well for those little balls that get dropped. We want to make sure that we're attracting both not active and active. So we want the cold leads as well, because eventually they may turn into a warm lead. So we won't just want to focus on hot leads all the time. Still need to stay in touch with all those cold leads so that they can get that trust in you as well. Conversion rate is going to be very important to you. I'll give you guys some tips after this on how to actually convert the leads, because that's actually the hardest part. The getting the leads is easy, but actually converting it into a client, that's the hard part. So those lead generation companies, yes, they will get you leads, but I think the conversion rate is probably like 1%. So it's not that high. So we got to figure out how to get skilled at that as well. And then again, these lead gen activities that you're doing should be able to bring in more of a steady flow of leads. It shouldn't just be like you're doing something once every month, every quarter. You should be doing these types of things every day, and should be getting like steady set of leads every day. You should be always adding people to your database that just came to your website, and like you're just consistently growing off of that. I find most agents will get hyped on some sort of activity, they'll do it, and then all of a sudden a couple months goes by, they haven't done any sort of like marketing or lead generation activity, and then they just leave it at that. So make sure you're doing these every single day to kind of make sure you're filling the pipeline at all times. So I just want to give you guys some examples of how we can actually blend these together. So let's say you wanted to do a Facebook ad. So you want to do an ad, maybe you're saying, hey, sign up here for my buyer's guide. So you got some ads going up. They sign on to a landing page of some sort, they put their contact information, and then the buyer's guide gets sent out to them right away. From there, then you want to send them up with a follow-up email, whether you're doing like an individual email, being like, hey, just wanted to make sure you got my guide. Are you thinking about buying? Are you thinking about selling? Or you're also setting them up on some sort of drip campaign that they're going to get an email from you every month about buying a home. Then you're going to do the prospecting activity, which is building the relationship. So making sure you actually call that person that gave you a lead, sending them emails, being like, hey, you signed up for that buyer's guide 3 months ago. Have you thought about buying? Do you want to set up a buyer consultation? So the whole point is to try to get an actual appointment through these leads. Chances of someone signing up again and being ready to go is very slim. So don't get caught up in like if they're bad leads or not. We just have to understand that it's going to be a cold lead to start. And then it takes the prospecting to build that relationship. So calling, emailing, texting, whatever type of platform you prefer. And And another example would be maybe you're attending either a local networking event or an open house. So we've got some open house people here. So step one, you would just go to the event or host your open house. Step two is exchanging contact information with people. So giving your business card, but more importantly, getting their contact information. I've had a lot of people say, well, I gave out my card at the open house. I'm like, that person is not calling you. Like, they have your card, they probably lost it already. So the whole point of the open house is to get the emails, and it's for security purposes, but it's also for you guys to grab some emails and stick those into your drip campaigns or following up with these people. So if you're hosting an open house and you're just giving your card out and praying that like someone's going to call you, it's probably not going to happen. But that's why you want to get their contact information. Same thing with like your parents. Like my mom will ask us for our business cards because she's like a social woman and she wants to go give our cards out. And we're like, no, mom, I'm not giving you my card. I want you to get their phone number and then we'll call them. So if you've got people that are like, yeah, I'll pass your card out, just try to get into the habit of telling your friends and family, get their contact information and I'll reach out to them. Because then at least you have more control over that than praying that someone calls you from that card. Sending relevant information. So after that open house, make sure you get them on a drip campaign, or you're sending them any information on that home, that neighborhood. Maybe you're sending them listings in that area so that if they do want to buy. And then of course, the step 4 of the prospecting is to schedule a call, build a relationship with them. So just following up with those people that you met at those events. So the other added bonus, if you want to add prospecting to your open house, is to do the door knocking part, or the cold calling and inviting people to come to your open house as well. So that's how you can kind of blend the prospecting and lead gen together. Perfect. And I think this is my last example, but let's just say email marketing again. So sending out a monthly email, offer at the bottom of it may say like, click here to book an appointment with me. And then there's special email platforms where you can actually see who's opening and clicking on your newsletter, right? So if you are watching your analytics, see what your open rate is. Anyone that's opened it, you should be calling them or emailing them directly, being like, hey, I've noticed that you're like engaging with some of my newsletters. We should get together. So like, I know it's a scary part, but if we're going to go through the efforts of doing the automated emails, you might as well add the prospecting component to it and keep track of who's actually opening it often and who's watching it. So if you see like Sue's opening it every month consistently, you may want to reach out to her and be like, hey, I've noticed you're engaging with my stuff. Just want to know if you want to chat more about it. So if you're going to do the email campaign, like keep an eye on who's watching. So that's how you can blend those two. Scared to do it. Okay, so here's some tips on converting the leads. Go back to that. New computer. Okay, tips for converting. So responding promptly. This is a very important thing and probably the thing that screws you the most if you're not fast enough. I think it's very important not only for your own clients, but if someone reaches out to you, you should be responding like within 15 minutes of that person. Like people want quick responses. I'm sure we appreciate quick responses. You know, when you call a listing agent, you ask a question, they take 2 hours and you're like, why aren't you responding faster? Like we should all be on our phones all the time and responding as quickly as possible to anything, like your family, your friends, your colleagues, especially to leads. I think they say the highest success rate is like 5 minutes of a lead clicking. Like, don't just wait till tomorrow when you're ready. Like a lead is a lead and it's hot and it's ready. It's on the site, you put their information in and you want to reach out as soon as possible. But same thing as if anyone asks you a question or wants you to look up a sold price or something like that, always do it right away because you want to show that you're prompt, you're quick, and you're on top of it. If you're waiting 2 hours, that person's like, screw this person, they're taking too long. And the amount of agents that have lost business just by taking too long to respond is crazy. And it's the easiest thing that you guys can do is just by actively responding. I'm sure you could email probably Claire and he'll respond within 10 minutes. So like you want that. And people like that. People appreciate the promptness of responses and you should be doing that with your clients. Otherwise they'll just go find someone that's just quicker at responding. You don't even have to be smarter. If you're quicker, you'll do okay. Personalizing your approach. So this could be tailored to like the individual. You may have clients that don't want you to call them. They don't want you to text them. They want you to email them. So tailoring how you respond to certain clients based on what their preference is what you want to do. You can add your own approach. You know, like there's bomb videos and stuff like that where people are sending out videos of themselves as responses. So something to stand out a little bit as well. Building rapport and trust. So you want to build that relationship with people. Staying in touch is the most important. So follow up. You've got some leads in there that probably will do something, and the people that don't stay on top of that communication, unfortunately, will lose. I'm sure we've all had clients or you've been following up for like 6 months. All of a sudden you're like, screw it, like they're taking too long. I'm just gonna move along. They're not interested. And then you follow up with them 6 months after that. Like, yeah, I bought a house. And you're like, oh my God, like if only I had just bothered them, then it wouldn't have been anything. So don't be scared to bother people. You're really just staying in touch. You don't have to be aggressive with it. Be like, why aren't you buying a home? You're just touching base with people because you need to get there at the right time as well. And then being persistent and respectful. So don't be too aggressive either. Okay, and this is my final one, but how to actually choose the activities. So I know I gave you guys lots of ideas to choose from, and not everyone's going to pick the same things that go with you. So first of all, you got to think about what your business goals are. So if you're a brand new agent, your goal right now is really to build your client base as quickly as you can and get as many leads as possible. So your whole goal as a brand new agent is just to generate as much leads as you can. So every day you guys should be like, sign up for my buyer's guide, sign up for my seller's guide, sign up for this, sign up for that, like getting emails and just getting as much leads as you can get. Now, if you're, on the other hand, if you're a more experienced agent, you've got clients under your belt, you may want to be looking to maybe deepen those relationships with those clients and just nurturing the relationships of the people you already know. So if you do have a client base, I would be focused more on nurturing the relationships than you are like generating all these cold leads, trying to keep on top of it. Because you guys are busy too, right? But if you're fresh and don't have a lot of clients, your whole goal every day is just to build that pipeline. The other thing to think about is who your target market is. So if you are targeting tech savvy millennials, then you may want to be doing the lead generation online, social media, online marketing, advertising, and all of that. But if your clientele are seniors that are downsizing or people that are retiring and aren't very tech savvy, then you may need to do the more personal networking approach, direct mail, handwritten cards, all that. So you got to figure out who your target audience is. Are they online or are they offline seniors? None of them is the wrong answer, but if you're trying to target downsizers, it's probably a high chance that you don't want to be completely on social media. But if you're trying to attract the first-time homebuyers, the millennial group, you should be heavily onto the online stuff. So that should help you choose a little bit. And then of course, how many resources you guys have available. So some of that online lead generation stuff can take a lot of time because you're doing follow-ups, you're filtering through people, but it can also be a financial investment as well. So if you don't have this extra finance sitting aside, then the online lead gen may not be for you. If you find that, or if you want to do maybe like more personal time that are maybe more labor intensive versus cost effective, then personal networking or direct mail may be something for you as well. So again, no right or wrong answer, but when you're thinking about which activities, you want to think about how much time and how much money do I have, because the door knocking obviously is cheaper, but it's going to take more labor of physically getting out there. Same thing with the calling. Calling is free basically, but you're putting more time into it. Online lead generation is way less time, but way more money. So do you want to spend more time or more money? So you got to decide between the two things. And then of course, your own personal strengths and weaknesses. So if you find that you're skilled at building relationships and you actually enjoy networking, the prospecting side may be more appealing to you as well. But on the other hand, if you're comfortable with technology and creating the content, then lead generation through social media or content marketing may be more appealing to you. So I would go like kind of go through your own self-development, figure out what resources, time, all that stuff you have, and then decide what type of strategy you guys want to come up with. And final takeaways. What time is it? Perfect. So just some takeaways. When you guys are trying to choose, again, you want to define who your target market is. So again, is it a specific area? Is it home buyers? Is it home sellers? Is it an age group? Upsizers, downsizers, investors? Figure out who you guys like to work with and then come up with a strategy to be in front of those people. So if your strategy, say, is investors, maybe you want to think about doing investment seminars and you're only targeting investors. But if you're doing first-time home buyers, then you may just be doing first-time home buyer seminars and sending out home buyer guides and having like one-on-one lunches and stuff like that. So you just got to think about who your target audience is. If you're doing seniors, I'm trying to think the best way. I know like Susan did something like you can literally go to seniors' homes where the people haven't quite moved in there, but they probably have a family home of 30 plus years that they need to sell before they move into there. So if you can make friends with the senior homes people, they will give those seniors a referral. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, there's this agent that works with a lot of our people, call them. So that might be an idea as well. So you just kind of have to think outside the box of where your target audience is and how to get in front of them. Focus on quality over quantity and nurturing relationships. So as a new agent, that's the opposite. I want you to focus on quantity and get as many as you can. And then the experienced agents, once you've got the quantity, then focus on the quality of those relationships that you're building. Have a variety of lead gen and prospecting strategies. Again, take a look at your time, money, and personnel for each of the strategies you want and which one works the best. And then of course, tracking it. So at the end, I would say every 6 months, you guys should track the efforts of everything. Be like, okay, I was working on open houses every weekend for 6 months. How many did I actually convert into a buyer? If the answer is 0, we may want to like reassess what the strategy is, either with the open house, or maybe we need to come up with some sort of other activity. So you may be like, oh, maybe I should actually start collecting the contact information at the open house. So like you're just adjusting the strategy to these things. So don't forget to actually track what your efforts are doing. We do this a lot with experienced agents too, where we will get you to write out a list of all of your deals at the end of the year, write down where you got those deals, and then you'll know for the next year where you should be focusing your attention. So if you were online lead generating and got 0 deals from it, we should probably not be doing lead generation and then focusing on a different platform that actually was getting new business. Perfect. So you guys should have received an email. Did you guys all get it? Okay. So I sent you guys an email. Inside of it, there is our Systems for Success booklet, which is, I think it's about 20, 30 pages describing the different lead generation sources. There's a schedule in there, like if you guys are thinking about what your schedule should look like, but there's some strategies in that. And then I also sent you guys, let's see if I can stop sharing.
When did you send it?
It came at like 12.
What the day?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get it. You're not in the system.
Not yet? Okay.
That's not good.
All right. We will get you on that system then. Yeah, she should. Yep. Okay. So I sent you guys this list. I'll email it to you. This one's just a quick list of just 50 different ways to grow your business, or sorry, to prospect and lead gen. So I've got 50 ideas. So hopefully you can at least pick one from there. This is a very simple, quick list, no real strategies or anything like that, but just a quick list. And then the book, this one I made a couple years ago, but we tweak it. It'll go again over like everything we just talked about, the active and passive prospecting. I've got some ideas, and then yeah, it's about 28 pages of just ideas, all of that. But even throughout it, I've got different click on things. So you can actually click on some things and it will bring you to our Google Drive Systems for Success, where I have everything in there for you too. So how to capture leads on Facebook, open house stuff. I've got lead trackers, script book, email templates, anything you guys can think of, it's all in there. So if you guys haven't checked out this, then I would also dive into the lead generation folder we've got for you. And then you guys can track everything on there. Any questions? That's what I've got. Did you see any on Facebook page?
So you know when I first started, one of my go-to in generating leads, prospects.
Yeah.
There's this what's it called, Meetup?
Yeah, Meetup.
So I was thinking, oh, maybe I can find a group where there's women that are going through separation.
Yeah.
Which leads to divorce.
Great idea.
So I'm like, how do I plant myself in there?
Yeah.
And meet up with, these women.
Yeah.
Because women were emotional, right? We're all the one that's ready to, okay, let's shut this shit
I'm
down.
out. The first one, yeah.
Right? So I'm like, the fact that you're speaking in respect to the community, it gives me a sense of awareness to say, okay, no, I was on the right track there.
Yeah.
Because you do need to plant yourself in.
You do, and you need to help people. There's lots of divorced couples that need help, and they want to work with people that they actually don't have personal relationships to most of the time. So if you can plant yourself in that, and not like out of like a business greedy way,
Yeah,
but in like, no, let me help you out of it, especially if you've been through it too, like you have a different relation. But I think it's a great idea. Or even connecting with divorce lawyers. So if you don't want to get in front of the divorced women or men, maybe you're connecting with divorce lawyers and be like, hey, if you have someone that needs just, because they usually pick like 3 or 4 agents to interview. And if you can put yourself on that list to at least get those opportunities, then it's not a bad thing to go connect with even just the lawyers, because it's kind of like going to the bank to go to the mortgage brokers. Maybe you're just doing business to business referrals instead of directly to the client. So the B2B is really strong, I think. It's not a bad idea. But the meetups, I remember I did, I used to do this thing where I'd sit at a coffee shop and give like $7,000 ideas to agents. And one of them was go join the meetups. And like, if you like beer, or like Alex is in like a car club, our club, where it's like Mini Cooper club. I think it's an all Mini Cooper or all cars. All cars. I don't know. But like, if you can go join clubs that like with other people that have similar interests, then like, why not, right? Go meet people. Like if you have a hard time meeting people. But again, for some people, like that's terrifying. For me, I couldn't just go to a networking event on my own. Like I would cry, but I'll go social media anytime, no problem. So like you kind of pick what you like and what you're good at. Mom clubs, I think would be good too. There's so many different clubs. Stroller walking, that's a good one. Talk about real estate. Even just planting yourself in a hair salon every while. Or nail salons. I hear people talking about real estate all day, all the time. No, the people that like go to get their nails done, they'll talk about it. Love it. Anyone on Facebook or Zoom have questions? Let's see. Perfect. Okay, so that's it. So this will be recorded on YouTube. So if you guys want to go back and rewatch it, otherwise those guides that I just sent you has a big idea of what it's all about. But if you guys have questions or want to talk about a strategy, don't hesitate to reach out. If you're like, I got this crazy idea, how do I make it happen? Then you can sit down with any of us and we'll help you like figure out a strategy. Like, let's go find some divorce lawyers kind of thing. So if you guys got some strategies that you just want to do but don't really know how to do it, just sit down with us and we'll try to come up with some ideas for you guys. Perfect. So I'm going to sign off here. So if you guys online have questions, email me. Chat soon.